April 15th, 1945. The black velvet night enveloped the coral ridges of Okinawa like a suffocating blanket, broken only by the distant flash of artillery and the occasional crack of rifle fire echoing across the ravaged landscape. In the darkness that had always been their ally, Japanese infantry soldiers moved with the silent confidence of men who had perfected the art of night warfare through years of brutal combat across the Pacific Islands. Their cloth-soled tabi boots made no sound against the rocky ground as they advanced through shadows that seemed impenetrable to American eyes, while their blackened faces and dark uniforms rendered them invisible to conventional observation. These were veterans of night fighting who understood that darkness was more than concealment. It was a weapon that could turn disciplined advance into devastating surprise attack against enemies who could not see what they could not fight. Staff Sergeant Mike Rodriguez crouched in his foxhole, his hands steady on a weapon that would have seemed like science fiction just months earlier, an M3 Carbine fitted with an infrared telescopic sight that transformed night into day through the miracle of American engineering and scientific innovation. The device, officially designated the T3 Carbine with M2 infrared Sniperscope, represented the culmination of years of classified research that had transformed invisible light into a tactical advantage more decisive than any conventional weapon. Connected by cables to a battery pack that weighed over 20 pounds, the system incorporated technologies that had never been deployed in combat, but which promised to revolutionize night fighting in ways that enemy forces could neither anticipate nor counter. The scope's greenish glow provided Rodriguez with clear visibility of targets at ranges up to 70 meters, turning Japanese soldiers into glowing silhouettes that moved through what they believed was protective darkness. The psychological preparation that had sustained Japanese night fighters through countless successful operations was based on absolute confidence that darkness provided protection and tactical advantage against enemies who possessed superior firepower but lacked the training and cultural preparation necessary for effective night combat. Japanese military doctrine emphasized the spiritual and tactical superiority of soldiers who could operate effectively without artificial aids, using natural senses enhanced by rigorous training to achieve surprise and maintain initiative against technologically superior but psychologically unprepared opponents. The systematic training that produced Japanese night fighters involved months of conditioning designed to maximize natural night vision while developing the tactical coordination necessary for complex operations conducted in complete darkness without electronic communications or artificial illumination. American soldiers throughout the Pacific had learned to respect and fear Japanese night fighting capabilities through bitter experience in campaigns where enemy forces had achieved tactical surprise and inflicted devastating casualties through operations that exploited American weaknesses in night combat preparation and equipment. The systematic effectiveness of Japanese night attacks had forced American tactical doctrine to emphasize defensive measures and illumination techniques that could neutralize enemy advantages in darkness, while research and development programs sought technological solutions that could provide American forces with capabilities comparable to or exceeding those achieved by enemy forces through training and cultural preparation. The M3 Carbine, with infrared scope, represented the technological answer to a tactical problem that had cost American lives throughout the Pacific Campaign. But what happens when the shadows no longer hide you? Japanese military doctrine regarding night operations had been refined through decades of combat experience that demonstrated the decisive tactical advantages available to forces capable of operating effectively in darkness against enemies who depended on visibility for tactical coordination and accurate weapons employment. The systematic development of Japanese night fighting capabilities involved comprehensive training programs that maximized natural human senses while developing tactical procedures that could achieve surprise and maintain operational tempo without artificial aids or electronic systems that might reveal position or intent to enemy forces. The cultural and spiritual preparation that supported these tactical capabilities emphasized the superiority of disciplined soldiers who could overcome technological disadvantages through superior training, coordination, and willingness to accept casualties in pursuit of tactical objectives. The strategic importance of night operations for Japanese forces reflected their recognition that American advantages in firepower, air support, and industrial capacity could be neutralized through tactical methods that exploited specific times and conditions when these advantages could not be effectively employed. Japanese commanders understood that daylight operations exposed their forces to devastating American artillery, air attacks, and coordinated combined arms operations that made survival impossible regardless of individual courage or tactical competence. Night operations provided opportunities to achieve tactical surprise while avoiding exposure to American firepower advantages, creating conditions where Japanese training and cultural preparation could overcome material disadvantages through superior tactical execution and battlefield discipline. American research into infrared technology for military applications had begun years before the development of practical night vision devices, involving systematic scientific investigation of electromagnetic radiation properties and their potential applications for detection, communication, and target acquisition under conditions where conventional optical systems were ineffective. The theoretical foundations for infrared detection had been established through civilian scientific research, but the practical development of military applications required extensive engineering work to create devices that could function reliably under combat conditions, while providing tactical advantages sufficient to justify their complexity and resource requirements. The systematic progression from laboratory research to field-deployable weapons systems represented unprecedented coordination between scientific institutions and military development programs. The engineering challenges involved in creating practical infrared weapons systems required solutions to problems involving power supply, electronic components, optical systems, and mechanical reliability that had never been addressed in previous military equipment development programs. The M3 Carbine system incorporated technologies including infrared illuminators, electronic image conversion devices, specialized optical components, and portable power supplies that represented cutting-edge engineering achievements in multiple fields simultaneously. The systematic integration of these technologies into weapons systems that could be operated by individual soldiers under combat conditions required innovative approaches to miniaturization, durability, and operational simplicity that pushed the boundaries of existing technological capabilities. The production challenges associated with infrared weapons systems reflected broader issues involving specialized manufacturing capabilities, component availability, and resource allocation priorities that limited the scale of deployment despite demonstrated tactical effectiveness. The electronic components required for infrared systems could not be mass-produced using conventional manufacturing techniques, while the specialized materials and precision manufacturing required for optical components exceeded the capacity of existing industrial facilities. The systematic approach to production planning required careful coordination between military requirements, industrial capabilities, and resource allocation decisions that balanced tactical advantages against strategic priorities for other military equipment and systems. The training requirements for effective employment of infrared weapons systems involved comprehensive instruction in electronic systems operation, maintenance procedures, tactical employment methods, and battlefield coordination techniques that exceeded the complexity of conventional weapons training programs. Soldiers selected for infrared weapons training required technical competence and mechanical aptitude beyond normal infantry requirements, while the tactical employment of these systems required coordination with conventional forces and supporting elements that had never been attempted in previous military operations. The systematic development of training programs for infrared weapons represented innovations in military education that established precedents for future technology integration programs. The security implications of deploying advanced infrared technology in combat zones required comprehensive measures to prevent enemy capture and analysis of systems that incorporated classified technologies and operational methods. The systematic approach to operational security involved specialized procedures for equipment protection, personnel briefings, and battlefield recovery operations that ensured enemy forces could not obtain intelligence about American infrared capabilities through examination of captured equipment or interrogation of trained personnel. The protection of technological advantages required security measures that exceeded conventional weapons protection while maintaining operational effectiveness necessary for tactical success. The tactical integration of infrared weapons with conventional forces required development of coordination procedures, communication methods, and operational doctrine that maximize the effectiveness of limited numbers of specialized systems while maintaining unit cohesion and tactical flexibility under combat conditions. The systematic approach to tactical integration involved extensive testing and evaluation of employment methods that could achieve maximum tactical impact while avoiding interference with conventional operations or compromise of operational security requirements. The development of integrated tactical doctrine represented innovations in military planning that established foundations for subsequent technology integration programs. The strategic assessment of infrared weapons effectiveness required systematic evaluation of tactical results, resource expenditure, and operational impact that could inform decisions about production priorities, deployment schedules, and future technology development programs. The limited deployment of infrared systems provided valuable data about tactical effectiveness while demonstrating capabilities that would influence enemy tactical planning and strategic assessments of American technological advantages. The systematic analysis of infrared weapons performance established evaluation methodologies that would prove valuable for subsequent military technology development and deployment programs. The international implications of American infrared technology development extended beyond immediate tactical applications to influence strategic balance considerations and technology competition that would affect post-war military relationships and alliance structures. The demonstration of American capabilities in advanced military technology provided evidence of scientific and industrial superiority that would influence diplomatic negotiations and strategic planning throughout the post-war period. The systematic development of infrared technology established technological foundations that would prove decisive in subsequent conflicts, where night vision capabilities became standard military requirements. The Japanese attack began at 0247 hours with the soft whisper of cloth against coral, as over 200 infantry soldiers emerged from concealed positions along the ridgeline that dominated the American defensive sector, their movements coordinated through hand signals and whispered commands that had been practiced to perfection during months of preparation for what their commanders believed would be the decisive night assault that would break American resistance on Okinawa. Lieutenant Takeshi Yamamoto led the spearhead element, his sword drawn and ready for the close-quarters combat that would follow the initial breakthrough, confident in the tactical superiority that Japanese forces had demonstrated in countless night operations throughout the Pacific Campaign. The systematic advance proceeded with mechanical precision as soldiers moved through predetermined routes that avoided known American positions while approaching objectives that intelligence reports indicated were lightly defended and vulnerable to coordinated assault. Staff Sergeant Rodriguez peered through his infrared scope, watching ghostly green silhouettes materialize from the darkness like apparitions emerging from another dimension, their heat signatures clearly visible against the cooler background of coral and vegetation that provided perfect contrast for the electronic imaging system. The sight was simultaneously fascinating and terrifying. Dozens of enemy soldiers advancing in perfect formation, completely unaware that they were clearly visible to American observers who possessed technological capabilities that exceeded anything in Japanese experience or planning assumptions. The infrared illuminator beam, invisible to human eyes but clearly detectable through the specialized scope, painted enemy soldiers with invisible light that transformed them from hidden threats into clearly defined targets at ranges where conventional weapons could achieve devastating accuracy. The coordinated opening of fire by infrared-equipped American positions created a tactical situation that Japanese forces had never encountered and could not understand, as their carefully planned advance was met by accurate fire from positions they could not locate against enemies they could not see. Rodriguez's first shot struck Lieutenant Yamamoto at 65 meters, the .30 caliber bullet ending the charge before it could develop momentum, while other infrared positions throughout the American perimeter began engaging targets with systematic precision that defied Japanese understanding of night combat capabilities. The psychological impact on attacking Japanese soldiers was immediate and devastating, as their advance was broken by fire from invisible enemies who seemed capable of seeing through darkness itself. The technical performance of the M3 Carbine infrared system exceeded expectations, as soldiers throughout the American perimeter engaged targets at ranges and under conditions where conventional weapons would have been completely ineffective. Private Tommy Chen, manning an infrared position on the left flank of the defensive sector, achieved 8 confirmed kills in less than 3 minutes as Japanese soldiers advanced directly through his field of fire, their heat signatures clearly visible through the electronic scope while remaining completely invisible to natural vision. The systematic effectiveness of infrared weapons demonstrated capabilities that transformed night combat from desperate defense into systematic target engagement, providing American forces with decisive advantages that enemy training and tactical competence could not overcome. The Japanese response to this unprecedented tactical situation revealed complete confusion and psychological breakdown, as soldiers who had built their confidence on night-fighting superiority found themselves under accurate fire from enemies they could neither see nor locate. Sergeant Major Hiroshi Watanabe, leading the second assault wave, attempted to coordinate tactical response to American fire, but his radio communications revealed growing panic as squad leaders reported casualties from invisible enemies who seemed capable of tracking individual soldiers through complete darkness. The systematic collapse of Japanese tactical coordination demonstrated the psychological impact of encountering weapons systems that challenged fundamental assumptions about night combat and battlefield capabilities. The systematic destruction of Japanese assault formations continued as infrared-equipped American positions maintained accurate fire against targets that remained clearly visible through electronic systems while being completely invisible to conventional observation methods. Corporal James Mitchell, operating an infrared system on the right flank, described the experience as like shooting fish in a barrel, as Japanese soldiers continued advancing through kill zones where infrared detection made concealment impossible despite complete darkness that should have provided perfect protection. The contrast between American technological capabilities and Japanese tactical expectations created conditions where systematic destruction of attacking forces became inevitable, regardless of individual courage or tactical competence. The breakdown of Japanese assault coordination became complete as surviving soldiers realized that their fundamental tactical assumptions about night combat had been rendered obsolete by American technological capabilities they had never encountered or imagined possible. Radio intercepts revealed growing desperation among Japanese commanders who could not understand how American forces could engage targets they could not see, while survivors reported terror and confusion that undermined the tactical discipline that had sustained Japanese night fighting effectiveness throughout the Pacific Campaign. The psychological impact of technological surprise exceeded the immediate tactical effects by destroying Japanese confidence in their most effective tactical methods. The systematic effectiveness of infrared weapons continued throughout the engagement, as American positions maintained continuous fire against Japanese forces who could neither advance effectively nor withdraw safely due to accurate fire from invisible enemies. The electronic systems functioned with mechanical reliability despite combat conditions, providing sustained target acquisition capabilities that enabled American forces to maintain tactical pressure regardless of enemy attempts at tactical adaptation or concealment. The technological demonstration validated years of research and development while proving that scientific innovation could overcome traditional tactical advantages through systematic application of superior technology. The tactical coordination between infrared-equipped positions and conventional American forces demonstrated integration capabilities that maximized the effectiveness of limited numbers of specialized systems while maintaining overall defensive coherence. Information about enemy positions and movements obtained through infrared observation was systematically shared with conventional forces, enabling coordinated fires and tactical responses that exceeded the capabilities of either system operating independently. The systematic integration of advanced technology with conventional military capabilities represented innovations in tactical coordination that would influence subsequent military technology development and deployment programs. The culmination of the engagement came as surviving Japanese forces attempted tactical withdrawal, only to discover that infrared systems remained effective against retreating targets who believed that movement away from American positions would provide safety through distance and concealment. The systematic tracking and engagement of withdrawing forces demonstrated the range and effectiveness of infrared technology while providing final confirmation that traditional Japanese night fighting tactics had been rendered obsolete by American technological innovation. The complete tactical failure of what should have been a devastating night assault represented a fundamental shift in the balance of night combat capabilities. The aftermath of the engagement revealed the scope of Japanese losses and the systematic effectiveness of infrared weapons in conditions where conventional defensive measures would have been largely ineffective. Over 150 Japanese soldiers had been killed or wounded during an assault that had been broken within 30 minutes of initiation, while American casualties remained minimal due to the tactical advantages provided by infrared target acquisition capabilities. The systematic destruction of attacking forces demonstrated technological superiority that exceeded Japanese tactical expectations, while providing clear evidence of American capabilities that would influence subsequent enemy tactical planning and strategic assessments. The intelligence exploitation that followed the engagement provided valuable data about infrared weapons effectiveness, while revealing Japanese tactical methods and planning assumptions that had been based on American technological limitations that no longer existed. The examination of Japanese equipment, documents, and prisoner interrogations revealed the extent to which enemy forces had depended on night fighting advantages that had been systematically eliminated through American technological innovation. The systematic analysis of engagement results provided validation for infrared weapons development while establishing performance standards for subsequent technology development programs. The psychological warfare implications of infrared weapons effectiveness extended beyond immediate tactical results to influence Japanese strategic thinking about American technological capabilities and the prospects for continued resistance against enemies who possess systematic advantages in night combat. The demonstration that American forces could see in the dark created psychological pressure that exceeded the immediate tactical impact by forcing enemy forces to question fundamental assumptions about their tactical capabilities and strategic prospects. The systematic effectiveness of technological innovation represented a form of psychological warfare that complemented physical destruction through demoralization and tactical uncertainty. The documentation of infrared weapons performance provided comprehensive evidence of technological effectiveness that would influence subsequent military technology development priorities and strategic planning for post-war military capabilities. The systematic recording of engagement results, equipment performance, and tactical integration procedures established evaluation standards that would prove valuable for future technology development programs, while demonstrating American capacity for innovative military technology development and deployment. The transformation of scientific research into tactical advantages represented achievements in military innovation that exceeded immediate battlefield applications to influence strategic technology development throughout the post-war period. The psychological shock that reverberated through Japanese forces following the systematic destruction of their night assault created a crisis of confidence that fundamentally altered their tactical planning and strategic assessment of American capabilities throughout the remaining phases of the Okinawa campaign. Japanese commanders who had built their tactical doctrine around night fighting superiority found themselves confronting evidence that American technological innovation had eliminated their most reliable tactical advantage while providing enemy forces with capabilities that seemed to transcend normal human limitations. The reports reaching Japanese headquarters described encounters with American forces who could engage targets in complete darkness with accuracy that exceeded daylight engagement standards, challenging fundamental assumptions about the relationship between technology and tactical effectiveness. The intelligence revolution that resulted from systematic analysis of American infrared capabilities forced Japanese military planners to revise their assessments of enemy technological development and strategic thinking, as the deployment of night vision weapons demonstrated scientific and industrial capabilities that exceeded Japanese understanding of what was technically possible under wartime conditions. Japanese technical intelligence services launched desperate efforts to understand the principles and capabilities of American infrared systems through examination of battlefield evidence and interrogation of personnel who had encountered these weapons. But the systematic security measures that protected infrared technology prevented enemy forces from obtaining detailed information about operational methods or technical specifications. The systematic approach to technological security demonstrated American understanding that scientific advantages required protection through comprehensive counterintelligence measures. The tactical adaptations that Japanese forces implemented in response to infrared weapons demonstrated the strategic impact of technological innovation on enemy planning and resource allocation, as traditional night assault tactics were modified or abandoned in favor of methods that attempted to avoid engagement ranges where infrared systems were most effective. Japanese commanders began emphasizing daytime operations despite their exposure to American firepower advantages, while night operations were limited to reconnaissance and infiltration missions that avoided direct confrontation with infrared-equipped American positions. The systematic modification of enemy tactical doctrine represented strategic effects that exceeded the immediate battlefield impact of infrared weapons deployment. The morale implications of infrared weapons effectiveness extended throughout Japanese forces on Okinawa and influenced strategic thinking at the highest levels of Japanese command, as evidence of American technological superiority provided additional confirmation that continued resistance was futile against enemies who possessed systematic advantages in industrial capacity, scientific innovation, and technological application. The psychological impact of invisible American weapons contributed to broader Japanese recognition that their strategic position was hopeless against opponents who could develop and deploy advanced military technology while maintaining overwhelming advantages in conventional military capabilities. The cumulative effect of technological and conventional military pressure created psychological conditions that would influence Japanese strategic decision-making throughout the final phases of the Pacific War. The strategic communication implications of infrared weapons success provided American psychological warfare specialists with powerful evidence of technological superiority that could be exploited to undermine enemy morale while strengthening Allied confidence in ultimate victory through scientific and industrial advantages. The systematic documentation of infrared weapons effectiveness provided propaganda materials that demonstrated American technological capabilities while highlighting the futility of continued Japanese resistance against opponents who possessed decisive advantages in military innovation. The strategic value of technological demonstration exceeded immediate tactical benefits by providing evidence of systematic American superiority that would influence international perceptions and diplomatic relationships throughout the post-war period. The production and deployment implications of infrared weapons success created pressure for expanded manufacturing and accelerated deployment schedules that would maximize the tactical and psychological impact of this technological advantage throughout remaining Pacific operations. American military planners recognized that infrared weapons provided decisive tactical advantages that could reduce casualties while accelerating the pace of offensive operations, leading to increased resource allocation for production expansion and personnel training programs. However, the specialized manufacturing requirements and component limitations that constrained infrared weapons production meant that deployment remained limited to specific tactical situations where maximum impact could be achieved with available resources. The training and doctrine modifications that resulted from infrared weapons effectiveness influenced American military education and tactical development programs that would prove relevant throughout the post-war period, as the successful integration of advanced technology with conventional military operations demonstrated institutional capabilities for systematic innovation and adaptation. The development of specialized training programs for infrared weapons operators established precedents for subsequent military technology integration, while providing institutional knowledge that would prove valuable for future advanced weapons systems development and deployment. The systematic approach to technology integration represented innovations in military organization that exceeded immediate tactical applications. The international implications of American infrared technology development extended beyond immediate military applications to influence strategic balance considerations and technology competition that would affect Cold War military relationships and alliance structures. The demonstration of American capabilities in advanced military technology provided evidence of scientific and industrial superiority that would influence diplomatic negotiations and strategic planning throughout the post-war period, while establishing technological foundations that would prove decisive in subsequent conflicts where night vision capabilities became standard military requirements. The systematic development of infrared technology represented achievements in military innovation that would influence international military competition for decades. The medical and psychological support implications of infrared weapons deployment required new approaches to treating Japanese prisoners and casualties who had been subjected to weapons they could not understand or explain, as the psychological trauma of encountering invisible enemies created mental health challenges that exceeded conventional combat stress reactions. American medical personnel developed specialized treatment procedures for enemy personnel who demonstrated symptoms of psychological breakdown related to technological surprise and tactical helplessness, while psychological warfare specialists studied the mental health impacts of technological superiority for application in subsequent military operations. The systematic approach to medical and psychological care demonstrated American capabilities for comprehensive military operations that addressed human factors as well as tactical requirements. The research and development implications of infrared weapons success provided validation for scientific research programs while establishing priorities for subsequent military technology development that would influence American military capabilities throughout the Cold War period and beyond. The systematic evaluation of infrared weapons performance provided data necessary for improving existing systems while identifying requirements for next-generation technology development programs that would maintain American technological advantages against potential future enemies. The integration of battlefield experience with scientific research represented institutional capabilities for continuous innovation that would prove decisive in subsequent military competition. The alliance coordination implications of infrared weapons deployment required careful management of technology sharing and operational coordination with allied forces who lacked access to advanced American military technology but needed tactical integration for effective combined operations. The systematic approach to alliance coordination demonstrated American capabilities for maintaining technological advantages while providing sufficient operational cooperation to ensure effective military partnerships throughout the Pacific Campaign. The balance between technological security and alliance effectiveness represented strategic considerations that would influence American foreign policy and military cooperation throughout the post-war period. The systematic analysis of M3 Carbine infrared scope performance revealed technological capabilities that exceeded original design specifications while demonstrating practical applications that would influence military technology development for decades beyond World War II. The electronic imaging system that converted infrared radiation into visible images represented cutting-edge technology that incorporated advances in photocathode development, electronic amplification, and optical engineering that had never been integrated into portable military equipment. The systematic evaluation of combat performance provided validation for theoretical concepts while identifying specific technical improvements that would enhance effectiveness and reliability under field conditions. The technological foundation established through infrared weapons development would prove essential for subsequent night vision technology advancement throughout the Cold War period. The comparative analysis between American infrared technology and conventional night fighting methods demonstrated decisive advantages in target acquisition, engagement accuracy, and tactical flexibility that transformed night combat from desperate defensive operations into systematic offensive capabilities. Traditional night fighting required extensive training, favorable conditions, and acceptance of high casualty rates to achieve limited tactical objectives, while infrared systems provided immediate tactical advantages that could be employed by conventional soldiers with minimal specialized training. The systematic comparison revealed that technological innovation could overcome traditional military limitations through scientific advancement and engineering innovation rather than intensive training or specialized personnel selection. The production technology that enabled infrared weapons manufacturing incorporated advances in electronics production, precision optics, and specialized materials that represented significant innovations in military manufacturing capabilities during wartime conditions. The systematic development of production processes for complex electronic systems demonstrated American industrial capacity for rapid technology development and deployment while maintaining quality standards necessary for reliable battlefield performance. The manufacturing innovations developed for infrared weapons production would prove valuable for subsequent military and civilian technology development programs throughout the post-war period, establishing industrial capabilities that would support American technological leadership in multiple fields. The integration technology that enabled effective coordination between infrared weapons and conventional military systems represented advances in tactical communication, fire control, and battlefield management that would influence military technology development throughout the nuclear age. The systematic coordination between infrared observation capabilities and conventional weapons systems created combined arms effects that exceeded the capabilities of either system operating independently while demonstrating technological approaches to military coordination that would prove relevant for subsequent advanced weapons systems. The integration methodologies developed for infrared weapons would establish precedents for complex military systems coordination throughout the Cold War period. The power supply technology that enabled portable operation of infrared systems incorporated advances in battery design, power management, and electrical efficiency that represented significant innovations in military equipment portability and reliability. The systematic development of lightweight, high-capacity power systems demonstrated American technological capabilities in electrical engineering, while establishing technical foundations that would prove valuable for subsequent portable military electronics development. The power supply innovations developed for infrared weapons would influence civilian electronics development while providing technological foundations for advanced military systems throughout the post-war period. The optical technology that enabled infrared detection and image conversion represented advances in lens design, precision manufacturing, and optical engineering that would influence both military and civilian applications throughout the second half of the 20th century. The systematic development of specialized optical components for infrared applications demonstrated American capabilities in precision manufacturing while establishing technological foundations that would prove essential for subsequent optical systems development, including satellite technology, precision manufacturing, and scientific instrumentation. The optical innovations developed for infrared weapons represented achievements in precision engineering that exceeded immediate military applications. The communications technology that enabled coordination between infrared-equipped units and conventional forces represented advances in tactical communication and battlefield coordination that would influence military technology development throughout the Cold War period. The systematic integration of advanced weapon systems with conventional military communications demonstrated technological approaches to battlefield management that would prove relevant for subsequent advanced weapon systems development and deployment. The communications innovations developed for infrared weapons coordination established precedents for complex military systems integration that would influence American military technology development for decades. The training technology that enabled effective operation of infrared systems by conventional soldiers represented advances in military education and technology transfer that would influence American military training programs throughout the post-war period. The systematic development of training procedures for complex military technology demonstrated institutional capabilities for rapid technology adoption while maintaining operational effectiveness necessary for battlefield success. The training innovations developed for infrared weapons would establish precedents for subsequent military technology integration programs while providing institutional knowledge that would prove valuable for future advanced weapons systems deployment. The strategic doctrine implications of infrared weapons effectiveness influenced American military thinking about technology development priorities and tactical innovation that would shape military planning throughout the nuclear age. The systematic demonstration that scientific research could produce decisive tactical advantages encouraged continued investment in military technology development while establishing institutional priorities for innovation and adaptation that would prove essential for maintaining American military superiority throughout subsequent conflicts. The doctrinal innovations developed through infrared weapons deployment would influence American strategic thinking about technology and military effectiveness for generations. The profound irony of Japanese night-fighting doctrine in 1945 lay in the systematic negation of their most reliable tactical advantage through American technological innovation that transformed darkness from protective concealment into fatal exposure for soldiers who had built their confidence on capabilities that no longer provided security against enemies who could see through shadows themselves. The M3 Carbine infrared scope represented more than technological advancement. It embodied the systematic application of scientific research and industrial capacity to military problems that had previously been addressed through training, tradition, and individual courage. The sight of Japanese soldiers advancing confidently through darkness, while being clearly visible to American observers, provided tangible evidence that scientific innovation could overcome any tactical advantage based on traditional methods or natural human limitations. The human dimension of this technological revolution transcended immediate tactical consequences to encompass the broader transformation of warfare from contests between individual soldiers or small units into systematic applications of industrial capacity and scientific knowledge that reduced traditional military skills to secondary importance. Japanese soldiers, who had devoted their careers to mastering night-fighting techniques, found their expertise rendered obsolete by enemies who possessed electronic capabilities that exceeded human sensory limitations through systematic technological advancement. The courage and professional competence that had sustained Japanese night fighters throughout the Pacific Campaign proved insufficient against opponents who fought with scientific instruments rather than natural abilities enhanced through training and experience. The strategic implications of infrared weapons development extended far beyond immediate tactical applications to demonstrate American capabilities for systematic innovation and rapid technology deployment that would prove decisive in subsequent conflicts throughout the Cold War period and beyond. The transformation of scientific research into battlefield capabilities within months rather than years provided evidence of institutional capacity for continuous innovation that would enable American forces to maintain technological superiority against any potential enemy throughout the nuclear age. The lesson was clear and enduring. Victory in modern warfare belonged to nations that could systematically harness scientific knowledge and industrial capacity for military objectives, rather than those that depended on traditional military virtues or cultural advantages. The legacy of the M3 Carbine infrared scope continues to influence contemporary military technology and strategic thinking, demonstrating that systematic scientific research and technological innovation could provide decisive advantages that no amount of training, courage, or tactical competence could overcome when properly applied through coordinated military and industrial efforts. The American ability to see in the dark represented the systematic triumph of democratic industrial capacity and scientific methodology over traditional military culture and individual expertise, proving that systematic innovation could transform any battlefield advantage into technological superiority through sustained research and development efforts. And this was the night the Japanese infantry realized too late that America could even take away the shadows, turning their most trusted tactical advantage into fatal vulnerability through the invisible light of scientific progress and industrial determination. If you want more untold stories of World War II, subscribe now to WW2 Secret Archives, where history's darkest secrets are revealed.